Because over the last couple of years, I've had the chance to go around the country and talk to business people and folks that work for various types of businesses, and have asked them how they feel about things, and people are worried right now. This has been a tough 3-year period. We've gone through some really difficult times, and people are hurting in Nevada and across the country. I was with a barber in New Hampshire who said that he was thinking of retiring some time ago. He's over 70 now. I asked him, "Why haven't you retired?" He said, "I can't. You know, his investments his retirement funds are not what he expected it to be. He's not making the money he used to make. He's had to cut back." I've talked to retirees who said they expected these to be the best times of their life, and it turns out that now they're just trying to figure out how to make ends meet, and are in part-time jobs in many respects, at minimum wage, just trying to keep food on the table. I talked to a lot of college kids, and the number one question they ask is, "Will I have a job when I get out of college?" Soldiers coming home, can't find work. This has been a tough time. And I know the president didn't cause this downturn, this recession. But he didn't make it better either. He made it worse. And he made it worse because instead of focusing his energy on the economy and getting people back to work, he used his mandate, being elected, he used that to put through a series of programs that he and his base and his friends thought were important, but frankly made it harder for our economy to recover. And so we've suffered. For 3 years, American families have been, many of them, unemployed or underemployed. Today we have about 24 million Americans that are out of work, or stopped looking for work, or can only get part-time jobs and they need full-time work. I don't have to tell you what happened to home values in Nevada and across the country, and the number of people that wonder whether they're going to have a home at the end of the day. I was in Florida with one man who was there with his son. He said his wife was, this was her due date. She was going to have her second child, but they had been foreclosed on by the bank. He didn't know whether the home would be available to them or locked when they got home that night. I mean, this is the nature of what's going on in America. We're the strongest economy in the world, and yet people have suffered, in my view, unnecessarily. Now, I spent my life, 25 years, in business. I had the experience of starting a business and being a little nervous about whether it would succeed or not. And fortunately it did. It became one of the most successful of its kind in the world. I also went into a business that I once worked for that got in real trouble, looked like it might hit a real crisis, and they asked me to come in and help lead it, and I was able to help lead it and turn it around. And then because of those turnaround experiences, I was asked by friends to come out to Utah and help run the Olympic Winter Games and turn around that enterprise when it got in trouble. Some of you saw that. And then after that, came back to Massachusetts, my home state, and asked to help get it back on track because we were looking at a big deficit, and we didn't want to raise taxes because we knew that would kill jobs and hurt working families, and had the experience of helping lead in that instance. And I've learned through those experiences something about leadership and also something about business and jobs, and why businesses lose jobs and why instead we're able to grow. And first about leadership. I've learned that a leader doesn't just work with the people that are in his party or the people who agree with him. A leader has to be able to convince people across the aisle, people who disagree with him. Has to be able to lead both kinds of folks to try and get things done. And right now in our country, we are highly divided. If you look at Washington, you've got Republicans and Democrats battling back and forth, but we don't have the leadership of a president who's able to work with people on both sides of the aisle and to point out that the crises that we face must be addressed by people in both parties. I was lucky enough to be, I say that in quotes, lucky enough to be elected in a state with a legislature that's slightly Democrat. 85% Democrat. And I learned how to work with people across the aisle to get things done for the people of my state. That has to happen in Washington. Now, I also learned something about business during my career and why jobs come and go. I learned that business can handle bad news, but what it can't handle is uncertainty. I learned that what this president has done over the last 3 years has made it harder and harder for businesses to be able to grow and invest in people and hire people. Almost every step the president has taken has unfortunately made it harder for businesses to understand the future and to decide to grow and to invest. And that's just permeated the entire economy. And I'll just go through some of those elements. We talked this morning with some of the local business leaders, and one mentioned how hard it is to get a loan. And I've talked to bankers and said, why aren't you giving loans to small business? And the answer is they're scared. I say, why are you scared? They said, well, this new legislation, Dodd-Frank, 2,000 pages of legislation about banking and lending, they're frightened to make loans for fear the regulators will come in and tell them they have to write them off and the bank will become insolvent and they'll lose their jobs and go out of business. So Dodd-Frank didn't help. Didn't help get businesses to be able to get loans. And then you have something known as Obamacare. Can you imagine wanting to invest in a healthcare product right now with Obamacare hanging over you? Or if you're thinking about hiring more people, if you look at Obamacare and say, boy, this is going to raise my cost of an employee, so you pull back. And then there's the National Labor Relations Board. You got the president that's stacked it with some of his old labor buddies, and they're doing what the bidding is of the AFL-CIO. And business people look and say, gosh, I don't know whether my employees are going to be unionized or not in the future, and therefore I'm not going to hire as many as I thought I might have wanted to hire in the past. The list goes on and on. How about deficits? When you see a government that year after year spends $1 trillion more than it takes in, how long can that go on? I don't know, Rick, how long could you go on spending $1 trillion more than you take in? About 3 seconds, right? You learn in the private sector you can't spend more money than you take in, but government keeps doing it. And you get to a point where we become like Greece, and we lose the potential to continue to provide for ourselves. This is what we're facing. If I become president of the United States, I commit to being a friend of working people and employers and entrepreneurs and innovators. I commit to making America the best place in the world for investment, for hiring, for job growth, for income growth. I commit to doing everything I know how to do to make our economy the fastest growing, job creating machine in the world. What do I do? Well, let me tell you some of the things I do to do that. One, I'd make sure that the tax rates paid by our employers aren't higher than the tax rates around the world. I want to make sure we're competitive. Number two, I want the government regulators to do their job on an accelerated basis and get out of the way and let businesses go back to building things, building highways and bridges and schools and homes. We just overwhelm our businesses with regulations that are unnecessary. I want to also take advantage of our energy resources. Right now we have a president that's pushed off coal by virtue of regulations and getting coal out of the ground and then burning it. And then oil. I want to get oil out of the ground. And then I want to get natural gas out of the ground. I want to get those energy resources. We're an energy-rich nation. We're acting like an energy-poor nation. I also want to open up new markets for American goods so we can sell our products around the world. And I will crack down on cheaters like China that steal our intellectual property, that steal our jobs, that hack into our computers, that manipulate our currency to make it harder for us to compete. Then I'm going to stop something known as crony capitalism. Now everyone has an idea what that means, but boy, it's been interesting to watch in this country, to watch a government start giving money to friends of government. Solyndra was one example. You have some folks who were friendly with the administration. They got $500 million in your money, which is now gone, evaporated. And then there's some car companies, some new electric car companies, Tesla, Fisker, a couple of friends, again, of the Democratic Party, get some money from government. And the list goes on of people who get money from government because government thinks that's a good place to invest. Government isn't the place that should be investing in businesses. Someone talked about green jobs. They said the new definition of green jobs is people who gave the green now get government money. And I want to make sure that we have an economy that works on free market principles and a government that releases the energy and passion of the American people, rather than a government that starts picking winners and losers and gives money to people who gave contributions to political campaigns. We got to end crony capitalism. Those are just 5 of the things I'll do to get this economy going again. And let me mention another one, and that is I'll listen. I will listen. I will listen to business people and to working people and to folks across the country to understand what's going on in their lives. The other day, the president was on a Google town hall kind of a feature, and a woman came on and said her her husband, who was an engineer, was out of work and had been out of work for a long time. And the president said he was surprised to hear that he thought people were able to, and engineers were able to get jobs pretty easily. And he found it interesting. How can you be that detached from what's going on? The President of the United States needs to hear what the people of the United States are experiencing and feeling, and make sure the policies he's putting in place are right for the people of America. I will listen if I'm President of the United States. Now I'm running. I'm running because I love America. I love the land of America. I love the people of America. I'm worried about the future for my kids and my grandkids. We got 4 young people here. The oldest is, are you the oldest of this group? No. Are you the oldest? How old are you? 11. He's 11. So we got 11 on down. Pardon? Oh, Rick's kids? Oh, all right. They'll do okay. They got a dad that's, yeah. But I'm worried about the kids and grandkids of America. I want to make sure their future is bright and promising. I'm convinced that there's nothing that keeps America from leading the world. I believe this has to be an American century. I don't accept the idea that America is in decline. I know we're going through a rough patch right now, but I don't believe that this is America's destiny. I think it's only a detour. And I believe that if we draw on the capacity and the skill and the patriotism of the American people, we will rebuild the strongest economy in the world, lead the world in the 21st century, and have great jobs with rising incomes for our families. I love the hymns of America. There's one I love, America the Beautiful. You can't look across Reno as I did this morning from my hotel. That was a very nice hotel, by the way. I got put up at a nice place. Is it called Peppermill? Is that the name of that? Oh yeah, that was very nice. And I looked out across the valley, saw the mountains. This is a beautiful, beautiful city. Mountains around, little snow on the top of the peaks. I saw a lake out in front of the hotel. And boy, this is a nice spot. You guys live in a lovely place. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies. You have them. For amber waves of grain. You don't have those. For purple mountains majesty. Though you have those too. Across the fruited plains. This is a wonderful place. I love America. There are other verses I love. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. Do we have any veterans or members of the armed services here today? Would you please raise your hand? Hi. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your service. There's another verse. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. The idea is that the patriots, the founders of this country, in writing the founding documents of our nation, were writing not just for their time, but beyond their years, into our time. I happen to believe the right course for America is to return to those principles. The Declaration of Independence said that the Creator had endowed us with certain unalienable rights. Among them, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In this country, we are free to pursue happiness as we choose, not as government tells us. We're not limited by the circumstance of birth or the place of our birth. We are free to pursue happiness our own way. That freedom and other freedoms combined brought some of the pioneers and innovators from all over the world to this country. It's what made this nation the most powerful economic engine in the world and the strongest nation to be able to defend our freedoms. I love America. I love those principles. I will take America on a very different course than this president. He's turning us into a European-style social welfare state. I will return America to the principles that made us great. I will get America working again and keep us the powerhouse that we are destined to be. Thank you so much. Great to be with you this morning. Thanks, you guys.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. Both ends of the ozone burning. Funny how the world keeps turning. Look, Mom, no hand. I love this American